The movie opens with a man named Louis talking to his girlfriend Venna over the phone. Having lived outside the city for a while, Louis decides to take some time off to visit her. Before doing so, he mentions that he needs to pick up his brother, who has just been released from prison. That same day, Louis begins his journey after buying a second-hand car he had long dreamed of owning. On the road, his excitement leads to some trouble with the police due to speeding. After the officers check his driver's license and vehicle registration, Louis is free to go and continues on to meet his older brother, Fuller. Despite just getting out of prison, Fuller quickly slips back into his old ways by buying a CB radio and installing it in Louis's car. For those unfamiliar, a CB, citizen band, radio allows people to communicate directly over short distances, often used by truck drivers to share updates about routes or weather. Unaware of the danger ahead, the brothers soon face serious trouble because of this radio. Fuller decides to play a prank on a truck driver named Rusty Nail, convincing Louis to pretend to be a woman over the radio using the name Candy Cane. At first, the two brothers were just trying to have some fun during their long road trip. But things took a dark turn when Rusty Nail actually believed that Candy Cane was a real woman interested in him. Having been lonely for a long time, Rusty became emotionally drawn to the fake persona. As the flirting between Candy Cane and Rusty grew more intense, Fuller decided to push the prank further. He came up with a plan to lure Rusty to the motel where they planned to stay for the night. When Fuller went to make a reservation, he couldn't check in immediately because a rude man was arguing loudly with the receptionist. Afterward, Fuller returned to the car and told Louis to keep pretending to be Candy Cane. Louis then invited Rusty Nail to meet her at the Lone Star Motel, specifically in room 17. However, that room didn't belong to them. It was actually the room of the businessman Fuller had seen earlier at the front desk. Despite the heavy rain, Rusty Nail showed up at the motel, eager to meet Candy Cane. Believing their prank had worked perfectly, Louis and Fuller listened through the wall from their own room next door, room 18. But instead of laughter or conversation, they heard disturbing sounds, someone being brutally attacked. Alarmed, Louis called the front desk, but the receptionist calmly said that everything was fine and that no one was staying in the next room. The next morning, Louis wakes up confused to find police officers swarming around the motel. No one knows exactly what happened, but the police report that a man was found lying unconscious in the middle of the road. When they confirm his identity, it turns out to be the guest from room 17, the same man involved in their prank. What had started as a harmless joke had now turned into a horrifying tragedy. The businessman had been severely attacked and was left in a coma after Rusty Nail brutally tore open his jaw. Still, the police needed more evidence before linking the assault directly to the mysterious truck driver. Shaken, Louis and Fuller quickly check out of the motel and continue their trip to pick up Venna. But their troubles are far from over. Soon, they realize that Rusty Nail is still searching for Candy Cane. Over the CB radio, Rusty tells them he's been driving all day to find the woman he believes he loves. Instead of apologizing, Fuller mocks and insults him, making the situation even worse. Not long after, they notice that Rusty Nail has been tailing them since the afternoon. To make matters worse, their fuel is running low, forcing them to act fast. Fuller takes a sharp turn to try to lose the truck, and luckily, they come across a gas station where he quickly stops to refuel. Meanwhile, Louis goes inside the small store at the gas station to call the police and report that they are being chased. At the same time, Fuller notices a man arriving at the station who acts suspiciously, walking toward the mini-mart while holding a baseball bat. Seeing this, Louis quickly leaves the store, fearing that the man might be Rusty Nail. Their suspicion seems confirmed when the stranger starts following them. Panicking, Louis speeds off, driving down a dark road without realizing it leads to a dead end. The truck follows close behind, and the driver gets out, approaching them fast. But to their surprise, the man simply hands Louis his ATM card. He had left it at the store in his hurry. As for the baseball bat, the man explains he only brought it to check his tire pressure. What they thought was a life or death chase turns out to be a misunderstanding. Just as things calm down and the man drives away, the real Rusty Nail suddenly appears. This time, there's no doubt, it's him. He's determined to hunt them down. With no other option, Louis and Fuller speed away, trying to escape, but Rusty's massive truck slams into them, forcing their car off the road and into a tree. Trapped and terrified, Fuller finally shouts an apology, admitting their prank went too far. After a tense moment, Rusty Nail decides to leave, disappearing into the night. After the terrifying events of the previous night, Lewis manages to get his car repaired, while Fuller loses all interest in using the CB radio again. The next day, Lewis finally reunites with Venna, who has been waiting for him for several days. During their meeting, they are also introduced to Venna's friend, Charlotte. However, Charlotte can't join their road trip because she already has other plans with a different friend. With Venna now around, Lewis and Fuller try to act normal, hiding everything that had happened to them earlier. Thinking things have gone back to normal, Fuller suggests they all grab a few drinks at a nearby bar. As the night goes on and the alcohol takes effect, a group of men begins harassing Venna. Lewis immediately steps in, getting into a fight to protect her, while Fuller quickly tells them to leave before things get worse. Back at the motel, Lewis, exhausted from the chaos, falls asleep almost immediately. Seeing an opportunity, Fuller approaches Venna, who is sitting alone in the room. Without Lewis noticing, Fuller starts flirting with her. While Lewis is asleep, the motel phone suddenly rings. Half awake, he answers it, only to hear not the receptionist's voice, but Rusty Nail's chilling tone on the other end. Shocked and terrified, Lewis rushes to Venna's room, not caring that his brother is there with her. The only thing that matters is warning them that Rusty Nail has now set his sights on Venna. Realizing the danger, the three of them quickly leave the motel in panic, driving aimlessly through the dark roads with no idea where to go. Not long after, they notice a road sign with the word "Look" written on it, a clear message from Rusty Nail. Fuller stops the car, and they all get out to check. To their horror, they find that the CB radio Fuller had thrown away earlier is now back in the trunk. Rusty had secretly returned it to communicate with them again. Venna, still confused about what's happening, finally understands the situation when they hear Charlotte's terrified screams coming through the radio. Rusty Nail reveals that he has kidnapped her. He warns them not to contact the police, or Charlotte will pay the price. Rusty Nail orders Lewis, Fuller, and Venna to drive to a nearby rest stop and wait for further instructions. When they arrive, he gives specific orders only for Lewis and Fuller. They must enter one of the diner rooms completely naked. Humiliated but terrified, the brothers realize Rusty is forcing them to experience the same embarrassment he felt when their prank led him into the wrong motel room earlier. After the humiliating ordeal, Rusty contacts them again, telling all three to go to a remote location far from town. The meeting point turns out to be in the middle of vast cornfields. Once they arrive, it becomes clear that Rusty has no intention of talking. He plans to kill them. As the roar of his massive truck grows louder, the three panic and run into the cornfield for cover. Separated in the chaos, they lose track of each other. Rusty takes advantage of this and manages to kidnap Venna. Moments later, Lewis and Fuller discover that Lewis's car has been set on fire. But through the CB radio, they receive one final message from Rusty Nail. He instructs them to go to a motel called Medford and check into room 17. Desperate to save Venna, Fuller and Lewis steal a parked car nearby and speed off toward the Medford motel, determined to find her before it's too late. Meanwhile, Venna is seen trapped inside a motel room, tied up and terrified. Rusty Nail has set up a deadly trap designed to kill her instantly. To make matters worse, he calls the police himself, reporting a fake crime at the motel to ensure chaos when they arrive. A few minutes later, Lewis and Fuller reach the Medford motel. They rush to room 17, as Rusty instructed, but find it empty. They soon realize it's another cruel trick. Rusty is recreating the same prank they once played on him. Just like before, he's actually in room 18, right next door. Determined to rescue Venna, Fuller sneaks around to the back to break in quietly. But Rusty has already anticipated this. He ambushes Fuller, throwing him violently out of the room. Inside, Fuller manages to catch a glimpse of Venna tied up with a shotgun rigged to fire at her, and he shouts for Lewis not to open the door. Hearing this, Lewis hesitates long enough for Rusty to escape once again in his truck. Moments later, police officers arrive at the motel, unaware that the receptionist has already been killed. They also don't realize that opening room 18 will trigger the deadly trap. In the chaos, Lewis panics, trying to save both Venna and Fuller. He manages to free Venna just before the shotgun fires and then rushes to rescue his brother, who is about to be run over by Rusty's truck. Lewis's quick thinking pays off. He saves them both just as Rusty Nail's truck crashes straight into the motel, destroying everything. In the wreck's aftermath, Rusty is seemingly killed, and the police discover that Charlotte is still alive, ending the terrifying ordeal. After the crash, one of the police officers tells Lewis that the suspect was a truck driver employed by an ice delivery company. This news shocks both Lewis and Fuller, since they remember that an ice truck had previously been destroyed by Rusty Nail's own vehicle. The implication leaves them uneasy. It might not have been Rusty Nail's body in the wreck after all. As the movie comes to a close, the radio crackles to life one last time. Across all channels, a familiar voice comes through, Rusty Nail, calmly asking about the weather. His eerie tone confirms that he's still out there, alive and listening. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.